As preparation for the 2023 general election reaches advanced stages, attempts to distort election outcomes using manipulation strategies are on the rise. Key actors are devising strategies to punctuate electoral preparations and neutralize the impact of laudable reforms aimed at enhancing the integrity of the electoral process. Recently, the presidential candidate of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, Bola Tinubu, on Wednesday alleged that a plot is being made to scuttle the general elections scheduled to hold next month. However, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and the Nigerian civil society groups are not leaving any stone unturned in their quest to ensure that a free, fair, and credible election holds in Nigeria. Thus, the CSOs have embarked on the presentation of the first iteration report of the Election Manipulation Risk Index, EMRI, which holds today at the Transcorp Hilton in Abuja. The EMRI monitors strategies and tools employed by election stakeholders to manipulate the electoral process. In addition, EMRI outlines mitigation measures to avoid the risks posed by these actors. Joining us now on the show from our Abuja studio, as we discuss the alleged plot to scuttle the 2023 polls, if any, and the Election Manipulation Risk Index, EMR, first iteration report, are Nwagwu, Chairman, Partners for Electoral Reform, and Nduh, Director of Security, Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us on the morning show. Well, let me start with you first, Nwagwu, to take us through this EMRI that I referred to. I've seen some slides, about 10 of them, and basically the report is talking about high-risk states, medium-risk states, low-risk states. And what I see in the summary is that it's only in 3 states that the risk of manipulation is low. 24 states are high-risk states. So if you could just take us through, that report that will be presented today, and then Mr. Nduh can speak to how prepared INEC is. We've been hearing INEC is prepared, INEC is ready, but how prepared is INEC? Please go ahead, Mr. Nwagwu.
Show this morning. The EMRI is simply a rapid citizen tool that citizens can use to scan the electoral environment, and through that method, see the potentials, if you like, not just the potentials, and in some cases possibilities of the 2023 election being manipulated. And the EMR, the index had identified broadly six areas that we think constitute real threat. And like you said, 22 states are in red, meaning that they are high. And what this means is that where we find 3 of these 6 that I'm going to be talking about, then those states are actually high. And then the medium, and then the low risk. And the low risk, just 3 of them, FCT, Gombe, and one other state are the states that are low risk states. The other 22 are indeed, and those will be, first and foremost, we'll be talking about INEC capture. INEC capture, in this sense, we're talking about the processes of appointment of resident electoral commissioners, which where we raised very red flags for some states, where we felt that some of those people who were appointed as resident electoral commissioners did not meet the integrity threshold that the Constitution has set up. And so it's important that citizens who live in those particular states where those resident electoral commissioners that we pointed out are on the guard to ensure that they do not constitute any real threat to the process. And then we are talking about the manipulation of the voter register. And in this circumstance, we're talking about situations where fictitious names, underage voters and indeed people who have no business being in the register, being put in the register. And we're also bothered, if you like, about the issue of voter suppression. And in this, we're talking about what you are seeing in the collection of the PVC, the way citizens are raising very strong hue and cry around those issues about the bottlenecks that are placed on their way to collecting the PVC. Those indeed for us constitute real risk. And then there is the resistance to election technology, the IREV, the BVAS, particularly, and it's not news that there are concerns in some quarters about the introduction of technology, and that for us will also be part of the challenge that we're going to see. And there are states that have history of election manipulation. Those, if you triangulate it in the way it impacts electoral integrity, you then find out that those can be challenged. And then there are issues of frivolous litigations, across the states. We were told recently by the INEC chairman that about 600 post-election litigations are, out there about that. 600 election litigations are out there. Many of them not very important. So the EMRI is important for us in the sense that we had drawn this from expert interviews. Is indeed a qualitative tool drawn from expert interviews, observations, critical observations, and content analysis. So we're hoping that with this tool in the hand of citizens, they are able then to scan the environment and put in mitigating factors that can help to ensure that the 2023 elections are not manipulated. And I did tell you that 22 states are in the high-risk area, 12 are in medium, and just 3 of those states are in low risk. That is the summary of what the election manipulation risk index is about.
Well, Mr. Nduh, Mr. Lebari Nduh, you just listened to Mr. Nwagwu, and you are head of security of INEC. These risks that he has identified, what are those measures to address those risks? Is INEC aware also of those risks?
Yeah, I think INEC has also done its own risk analysis by the Electoral Institute, and our results are not far from what he has said. But the question is, are Nigerian citizens ready to protect and defend the democracy they have? Because it's not enough to find out this risk and provide solutions or mitigations to it. If the people who owns it refuse to own it, then there's a problem. Like I said, Nigerians must own the process. Nigerians must take the process, take control of the process. What INEC is doing and has been doing the past 4 years is to ensure that they prepare a transparent process, taking all stakeholders along at every stage of the process, at every stage of the preparation. Stakeholders are called upon, given what INEC has done, and inputs and suggestions from them are taken very seriously by the Commission, especially the civil society organizations, the security organizations, the political class, and the press. No segment of the society is left behind in the inclusiveness of the preparation of INEC. And so INEC is always 2-3 steps ahead of what the planners of doom will want to do. Like Mr. Ezenwa said, It is true that there are high-risk states, but the question is, what are the citizens of those states doing? They must get up and own the process. If you don't own the process, my people says elders cannot be at home and they allow a he-goat deliver in teters. So the people should come up, own the process, collaborate with INEC and the civil society, synergize with the security agencies, because the planners of all these things we are talking about, they are not from Cameroon. They are in Nigeria. They are our neighbors. They are our brothers. They are our relations. We know them. So all of us must put hands on deck to ensure that the process that INEC has started is concluded in a very thorough, transparent, clear, and inclusive manner.
Nduh, when you say that all hands should be on deck, but the parameters or the variables that were used in this research are one, INEC capture, that's in your hands in terms of the voter register, people who are on there. And we have had issues around that where we've seen underage voters, multiple names on the voter register. We have manipulation of the voters register as second, voter suppression as another, resistance to BVAS and IREV, history of election manipulation and election litigation. A number of these responsibilities largely rest with how INEC conducts itself and the elections. Case in point for voter suppression, many Nigerians have complained, and we've seen videos, we have had personal experiences as well, and it cuts across different parts of the country where electorate or people who register to vote are unable to access their PVCs. An example was in the Tiosa local government area yesterday. From 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., only about 3 PVCs were released by your staff members. Some people said they were overwhelmed. So what is INEC doing? Because yes, you can talk about people's responsibility, but we want to hear what INEC is doing to mitigate election manipulations in a few weeks. And then for Mr. Nwagwu, I see in one of your slides, I just want to talk about the low election manipulation risks area. And there are only 3 areas identified in your report: Gombe, FCT, Nduh. I'd like to, from your findings, what is the reason for this and what lessons can we learn, if any, from these states so that we can have low risks in other states that you've identified as high and medium? I'll come to Mr. Nduh first in terms of INEC's response.
Yeah, I think INEC has done its best and will continue to do its best. The truth of the matter is, in Nigeria, give us 6 months to do a thing. We will not come out to do it until it is 3 days, 4 days to the end. And then we'll begin to clamor, please extend it, extend it, extend it. This collection of PVCs has been on. INEC even moved it from the local government level to the ROA level, that's the ward level. And people were asked to go and collect their PVCs. It's nothing like suppression. And I will stand to be corrected. The suppression you hear is people going there to try to collect cars that do not belong to them. And the INEC officials are under strict instruction. Don't give out cars that do not belong to individuals. You go there, that's why it is not distribution, it is collection. You go there and collect it. You don't send somebody to collect for you. And so that's one of the problems. We will not collect it on time, and when it is the rush hour, like we say, everybody will want there to go there and collect. And then at the end of the day, INEC will be blamed. They are not doing this. They are not doing this. They are human beings like you. And I know that there are volunteers who have joined INEC to ease this collection of PVCs. The truth of the matter is, for the 2 weeks, these things were at the ward level. People didn't go to collect it. It is now that it has moved to the local government area that people will say, oh, we are disenfranchised. We cannot go there because of this problem, because of that problem. Yes, we agree. There are teething problems, but they have been solved a great deal by the support the civil society has given to INEC. They gave us volunteers, paid by them, not by INEC, coppers, to ensure that the distribution points were many. How many people went there the first 5 days of collection? They didn't go because they know it's a Nigerian thing. We don't do it when we are supposed to do it. When the time is over, that's when everybody will rush, just like we are talking of currency. It's the same thing. Everything Nigerian is doing, you call them on time to do it, we wait until the last minute and we become to rush. And then that's the problem we have. But I think INEC has done well. If you talk of voter suppression, like I said, there's nothing like voter suppression. Let the people, if I have a card and I go there, I will collect it. INEC has arranged it in such a way that these cards are kept in wards, in units. You cannot go there without a slip. And then you will say it's voter suppression. INEC gave you a temporary slip, with which when you come and show, they look at the slip, they look at the unit, the polling unit, they look at the ward, and it's easier for them to go there to pick. But when you come there, you say, oh, I registered here, I registered here. There are other activities the people are carrying on at the same time, multitask. So it will be difficult for them to solve that singular problem. It is true that the fewer minority have their say because they have access to the media. But the greater majority that are collecting these things do not have a say. They just go there, search, give them the slip, collect their cards and go. But I think that INEC will up its game. They are upping it to ensure that every card, every PVC that has been printed is given out to the owner. It is not going to be given out by proxy. INEC will not, and I repeat, will not give out PVCs by proxy.
All right, thank you for your statement. For Mr. Nwagwu, just in terms of the lessons learned from Gombe, FCT, and Nduh, which were identified as low risk in terms of election manipulation.
Well, I just want to just make a comment or two on what the Director of Security has said. I think that it's important that even if there is that low, that minority that is complaining, we need to take those complaints serious, because one black tar can spread around the whole work that INEC is doing. So it's important that those that have been identified, there are unscrupulous INEC officials who are bringing to disrepute the work that, and some of them are always being shown on television. I've watched somebody in Otako here saying he paid some money on live television to say that he paid money to INEC officials to be able to collect. My expectation was that there is going to be sanction and consequence. To explain it away does not give confidence to the Nigerian voter that, that INEC indeed is ready to punish officials who derelict on their duty. I think it's important to just make that comment. Then secondly, the mitigation issues that needs to happen. As we approach the 2023 election, we need to know those who are going to be working in this election. There is nothing wrong in INEC publishing the names of the ad hoc staff who will be involved in this electoral process, so that we can know we can run them through competency. INEC should be able to run them through competency tests and the rest of them to ensure that some of these issues that have been raised are not. What I find in Nigeria is when this kind of report is brought out, we get into the defense mode rather than working very hard to ensure that those things, civil society and the media are not in an adversarial relationship with INEC or the stakeholders. So it's just important to say that. The lessons that can be learned from Nduh, FCT and Gombe is that, like I said, if 3 of the 6 issues that we have raised appear in any of the states, those states become high risk. So where they do not occur in those states. So all that needs to happen is that where we've talked about voter suppression, INEC officials must ensure that the PVC collection is seamless and is rid of corruption that people are complaining about. And it doesn't matter even if it is one person. We need to strengthen the idea of judicial officials restraining themselves in giving this kind of frivolous injunctions that we are seeing and all of those kind of things. It has capacity to scuttle the electoral process if the judiciary goes into free reign, and our history is not devoid of those kind of situations in which we have seen the judiciary ingloriously intervening in the electoral process. So the learning curve for everyone is that civil society has put this out, and Arise has helped to amplify it to the world that there are potentials, there are tendencies for the manipulation of the 2023 election, and the election manipulation risk index is that citizens tool that you can begin to use to scan the environment, and when you see these threats manifesting in any way, is your responsibility. And I think also that election, like we keep saying, is a law-determined process. There is the Electoral Act. There is the INEC guidelines for the conduct of the elections. The security agents need to understand that if election fails, is a failure of law and order. And the role that they play in ensuring that the EMRI is not a prophecy foretold that will come to pass is also very critical and important.
Okay. Real quick, Mr. No, hang on a minute.
Before I come.
Hang on a minute. I've got a question for you, sir.
I want to make want to make an allusion to what my brother Ezenwa have said.
Okay, make it.
As regards the punishment of erring officials, let me make it very clear that INEC does not condone its officials that violate the rules of the game. Most of the people who claim to be INEC officials are scammers. They come out and tell you, I work with this, I work with this, if you give me this, if you give me this. And if you ask the people who say they pay money to them, show me the INEC official that you pay the money to. You won't see them. This is practical experience that I have also seen. I've been called more than 3, 4, 5 times in the last 2 weeks to come and see where we paid money to people, and you will get there and you will ask, who did you give the money to? You will see INEC officials working. They will not tell you it is this personal that they gave the money. And so it is what all of us should work towards eliminating.
Very well.
And INEC is also doing it in a very transparent manner, particularly the recruitment of its ad hoc personnel. Nobody is employed manually. Everybody applied online. They have been scrutinized and they will be trained in the public space, not hiding, where everybody who wants to see what is being done can go there and check. They will be properly trained because this is an election that is based on technology, and INEC will not put its step wrong.
Okay. And also, I'd like to ask you 2 questions. It's a good you made clarification. Like I think Mr. Ezenwa said, will the names of the ad hoc staff be published electronically? And I'd also like to ask you, as the Chief of Security in INEC, what's your security background check mechanism for this ad hoc staff? Are you putting any of such methods in place of a security background check for them and who they are? And thirdly, I'm sad to disappoint you, but people are not getting their PVCs. I don't think if you've gone through places like Lagos, where there was a protest yesterday, it's very difficult to get PVCs. Even there's also allegation of the fact that people are now being screened based on tribe and all of that. So it's not that easy, and I think INEC should look into it. It's a feedback that cuts across all. 29th already we disenfranchised millions of people as we speak today. That's the reality on ground. And I think INEC should double up. That's just a feedback for you, sir. And you can also take that question. But for Mr. Ezenwa, my question for you would be, I'd like you to talk me through your methodology for your report. Let's know what's, the back end entailed. Let us see what happened. I know it's like a perception index. Let us see the rigor that went behind all of this in the first place. I'll come to you, sir. Then afterwards, I'll talk to Mr. Ezenwa.
All right. The commission is doing a thorough screening of all officials that applied online. All their background check, security background check have been put into place. And you cannot claim who you are not. And that's the essence of the screening. We are screening them to ensure that what information they have given to us can be proved right. And if it is not proved right, those ones will not be taken, because we know that they can come in with wrong information, with wrong purpose, and with wrong intention. And so the commission has put in a thorough plan to ensure that only those who meet the criteria are taken. The era of people submitting names here and there is no longer there. And that's why this portal was opened from September 14 to December 14. It was open for everybody to apply for all positions and for where you want to work. And it is open for people to check and see that there is nobody that will be on the list whose name was not properly screened. INEC is putting everything they know how to do in place to ensure that only those who are thoroughly screened and thoroughly trained. The training is not going to be like 1 or 2, 3 days. It's going to take 1, 2 weeks so that people will be conversant with the technology we are using. And as for the other reports that people are giving this, I will get in touch with the resident electoral commissioner whose jurisdiction these things are. Fortunately, he's already in Abuja for a meeting with the commission. And I'm sure the commission is also aware of this thing and will interrogate him, interrogate the message and the process, and then the results will be made known to the public by the commission. Because the commission doesn't want anybody to be disenfranchised.
Okay. Mr. Ezenwa, the back end.
Yeah,
the methodology.
The director, yes, I understand. I'll come to that. The INEC officials we talk about, they appoint agents. It is their agents, because how this is done is that the agents collect the money. It's not the officials that collect the money. Because if I give you 2,000 and in less than 10 minutes I get my PVC, somebody facilitated that. Somebody made that happen. So when you say they are scammers, they actually work for those officials, and it is already things that are established in the places. So what we need to do is to find a way to deal with that and ensure that that middleman process is disconnected, and I think that is important. I will come back to that. And for the back end, like I said in my opener, I did talk about the fact that we used expert analysis, observation, and of course the data analysis. And the reason for that is that we didn't, being a qualitative tool, we didn't want to go into very in-depth in terms of sourcing some of all of these things. But it's sufficient to say that I was expecting that somebody would say, oh, what about security? We decided to get out of that, excused it, so that it does not conflict all of this, because it is actually a standalone risk by itself. If we put that out, it will obfuscate. So we actually have, it's just 3 these things that we used, and it's expert analysis, expert interviews, and the data analysis, and of course those things. And we use it so that in the way it reflects for us in manipulation of election. All of this is what we triangulated to come to the outcomes that we are going to be launching today.
All right. So thank you so much. And I know both of you will have healthy debates off the air, and I wish you that healthy debate, both of you, off the air. Thank you so much for your time.